Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Let's return now to the political shambles here, and Jeremy Corbyn is still clinging on to the Labour leadership tonight, despite calls from all sides for him to quit. Former party leaders Gordon Brown, Ed Miliband and Harriet Harman all joined the clamour today, and as we've seen, David Cameron even challenged him across the dispatch box. But Mr Corbyn is still banking on support from grassroots members and the unions to help fend off the party's MPs. Our political correspondent, Michael Crick, is in Westminster. Michael, where on earth does this go now?
Well, goodness knows. I mean, yesterday we had MPs here voting by more than 4-1, no confidence in Mr Corbyn. Today it was the turn of past leaders and of the Labour MPs in the European Parliament. All 20 of them decided that Mr Corbyn should go. But the one group we haven't really heard much from recently are the trade union leaders. Now, leaders of the four biggest unions met this lunchtime. Now, 6 hours later, we still haven't had a statement from them as to what they decided. If they were to decide Mr Corbyn should go, that would probably be it for him. Meanwhile, in the last 2 hours, Mr Corbyn's deputy, Tom Watson, has revealed that he has been involved in negotiations to try and persuade Mr Corbyn to call it a day. Jeremy Corbyn and his deputy Tom Watson at a Polish community centre in London today. Seemingly good colleagues, but behind the scenes, huge tensions. On his way to this event, I'm told, Watson tried to discuss things with Corbyn in the car and urged him to quit. It seems Corbyn refused even to talk about it. A reporter at the centre asked Corbyn about the leadership.
Mr Corbyn, a quick question about the leadership.
He looked horrified as an aide dragged him away. So tonight, Tom Watson's come out and revealed he's been trying to negotiate Corbyn's departure. The party's in peril, he thinks.
Well, look, I agree with Kezia Dugdale, who yesterday said if she'd lost a motion of no confidence with 80% of her MPs, she wouldn't be able to do her job. And I think, unfortunately, that is true for Jeremy. It's a great tragedy. He does have a member's mandate. But those members who join a political party know that you also need a parliamentary mandate if you're to form a government. You have to have the authority of the members and your members of parliament. And I'm afraid he doesn't have that with our MPs.
But he says he won't stand in the inevitable leadership election. Today, 4 past Labour leaders also called on Corbyn to quit, including his immediate predecessor.
I am not a Blairite, I've never been called that. I am not a plotter. I care deeply about the country, about the party, and indeed about many of the causes that Jeremy cares about. And I've come to the conclusion that those causes, our party and most importantly the country, are best served by him going.
Further bad news for Mr Corbyn, Pat Glass, who joined his new shadow cabinet as education spokesman only on Monday, today resigned. The situation in the party, she said, was untenable. Meanwhile, this lunchtime, leaders of the big 4 unions affiliated to the Labour Party met at the headquarters of Unite to discuss the Corbyn crisis. Without their support, he's probably finished. Corbyn's friends say he'll ultimately survive with the backing of the hundreds of thousands of party members and supporters who elected him last year. But there are signs, even in London, that grassroots backing for Corbyn is on the wane.
Since the events of the EU referendum, we have had some drop-off in support for Corbyn from people who previously were supportive of him. And I think that was shown yesterday at the meeting we had, where there was a lot of negativity about Corbyn, and we voted to pass a no-confidence motion on him.
Among Labour members and registered supporters on the street, we found a similar trend.
I think he is wasting extraordinarily valuable time, and I joined up to vote for him last year, and I think he should just go.
Yeah, I want him to be a leader in a functioning party, and as much as I admire him, he can't do it on his own, and he needs the MPs to back him. So support's there, but I'm just being realistic. I don't want to split Labour Party.
I still support him. I'm not a great Tony Blair fan, and his followers, and it just seems from day one they've been on his back.
But potential challengers, such as Angela Eagle, have been holding back all day.
I'm not giving any comments today. I'm going to get in my car and go to work.
Some Labour MPs fear Corbyn could still win a leadership challenge this summer. Far better, they think, to force a clean resignation instead by keeping up the war of attrition.
Well, as we've heard, supporters of Jeremy Corbyn are mobilising themselves around the country. The grassroots organisation Momentum has a pre-planned meeting tonight in Sheffield, and Darshna Soni is there. Darshna.
It was a pre-planned meeting, Cathy, but they say they've been overtaken by the extraordinary events of the last few days, and that has meant that many more people than they expected have turned out here this evening. Now, Jeremy Corbyn's supporters say he'll keep going because he has a philosophical belief that it's members who should control the Labour Party and not MPs, and certainly that is echoed here. He has huge support amongst the people that I've spoken to. He may have been accused of putting his party at peril, but here there's a strong feeling that it's the PLP that has done just that. Now, the meeting was organised by Momentum, so many people here say that they joined up very recently to vote him in as leader. But there are also people here who say they are long-standing members of the Labour Party who told me they feel betrayed at the behaviour of its MPs down in what they see as the Westminster bubble, many hundreds of miles away from here. They told me they still have faith in Jeremy Corbyn, and crucially, they feel that he can still win any general election.
I think he can win an election, and I think, but we can only win an election united. The British public may yet vote for a left-wing Labour leader, but what's sure as hell is that we'll not vote for a divided Labour Party. And the responsibility for that division today rests on the shoulders of the PLP, as far as I'm concerned.
If it looks like a shambles, that needs to be laid at the doors of the MPs, who at a time of national uncertainty have chosen to prioritise this struggle over the best interests of the country. I think that's despicable.
If we have another leadership election, then that's not my desire. I think that wastes a lot of time when we could be challenging the Tories and we can be taking on the crisis that's developed as a result of this referendum. But if we have that leadership election, I'll be voting for Jeremy Corbyn, I'll be campaigning for Jeremy Corbyn. I'm fairly confident he'll be re-elected.
So people here are very critical of the behaviour of MPs. The local MP here is one of those who resigned from Jeremy Corbyn's team. I can tell you that didn't go down too well here, as you can imagine. It's one of the things that's on the agenda here this evening, as is the elections to Labour's NEC, and a couple of the candidates who are standing will be speaking here tonight. And one of their supporters said to me, it's very fitting that this meeting is being held in a church because, as they see it, this is a battle for the very soul of the Labour Party.
Darshna Soni. Well, joining us now to discuss Labour's divisions are Barbara Ntumi, a Labour member and student activist, member of that organisation that was meeting in Sheffield. She voted for Jeremy Corbyn to be Labour leader last year, and Tom Baldwin, the former Director of Communications to Ed Miliband. And this is a crisis for democracy because, in a sense, you have Labour MPs who were elected before Jeremy Corbyn became the leader, and you have the grassroots who elected him from the country saying, no, he's got to stay.
Yeah, I think in a world where old certainties have been thrown into complete chaos and confusion, one thing is now self-evident, that Jeremy Corbyn cannot lead the Labour Party anymore. He has lost the support of 4/5 of Labour MPs, whole of the group of MEPs, former leaders, a growing number of party members are disillusioned. So whatever he might want to do, he can no longer provide leadership in that party.
Right, well, I mean, how do you deal with that?
I completely disagree. I mean, Jeremy struggled to get on the ballot, so from the get-go, PLP were never really that keen on supporting him anyway. So I'm not surprised that they've waited to take the EU referendum as an opportunity to undermine his leadership. It's fair enough to have grievances. I mean, it's ridiculous because Labour has spent a lot of years campaigning, saying controls on immigration, etc., etc. Is it a surprise that people have voted to leave the EU? Actually, under Jeremy's leadership, we're saying no, that actually that is not the key issue. It's austerity that is the key issue. And actually, we can win a lot of people that voted to leave over. And actually, we're spending a lot of time looking inwards as opposed to looking outwards, which is a lot of what these MPs have said for years, that we need to look outwards. Yet, in a key opportunity to look outwards, the party's been looking inwards, and that's just completely wrong.
This is one of the problems in this entire referendum business, because a large number of people were alienated, hated British politics generally, and hated it because they were alienated, felt they had no stake in what was going on, and that's why they voted. And the Labour Party is one of those who neglected them.
I think that's right. And at this point of national crisis, this is the sort of possibly the deepest and longest crisis we're going to face as a country since the Second World War. That's a moment when we want to hear those Labour values, which were defined only by their absence during the referendum campaign. We want a proper champion for those Labour values, and you also want someone who could go toe-to-toe with Angela Merkel in negotiations, who could step into Downing Street.
I'm just hearing that news is just beginning to come through of a suggestion, a strong suggestion, because Angela Eagle, former shadow business secretary, who's resigned obviously the other day, is going to hold a news conference at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and the rumour is she will declare to challenge Mr Corbyn. Now, how does that change things?
Well, I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that Jeremy Corbyn will stand down, because he can't lead the Labour Party.
Well, surely you know enough now to know he will not.
Well, I think his...
But the PLP had a vote of no confidence, which is not constitutional. Jeremy was elected by the membership of the Labour Party, and that needs to be respected. The PLP is wasting a lot of time, having a lot of no confidence votes, a lot of, chaos that is completely unnecessary. The key issue here is austerity, and actually, if Labour is going to win all the people that people have claimed it deserted, the issue is about austerity. The issue is not immigration. The issue is the Tory-imposed austerity that we have gone through for the past 5 years. And actually, again, the PLP is looking inwards as opposed to looking outwards.
Well, I mean, there is clearly a very strong possibility that if the same grassroots people vote again, they will outnumber anybody else and he will be re-elected.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying that MPs have a mandate too, not just from hundreds of thousands, but from millions of Labour voters who are desperate for someone to stand up for them now.
But how is that represented? Because the way in which the leadership election system is now configured does not favour them.
I believe that many people are joining the Labour Party now because they actually want a change of leadership, not just for the party, but for the country. It's such a big moment for this. And to be sort of burying ourselves in a rule book, as you are, I'm afraid, it's just not appropriate. We've got to talk about what's right for Britain now, and it's terrible moment of crisis.
Well, what about what's right for the alienated? That is, in fact, what Jeremy Corbyn is about. As I said before, going around the country, people felt alienated and they were voting against the government and against the Labour Party for neglecting them, for leaving them in austerity, for allowing cuts.
Well, that's why we need a proper champion of Labour values. And we haven't got that at the moment. I do think Jeremy's failure to see that he can no longer lead a party where 4/5 of MPs do not support him is actually evidence for why he should not lead the Labour Party, because it's almost childish in his failure to recognise it.
Majority of MPs supported Ed Miliband last year, and he lost the general election because Labour made concession to Tory cuts. This is the divided line here. Jeremy wants to stand up for ordinary people. He is against Labour, Tories' cuts. He has voted against, he has spoken against, and that is the key issue here. The PLP are making a meal out of nothing, to be honest. It's actually about individual interest and the fact that they personally don't like Jeremy, and we have to stop this. The membership have voted for him, the membership support him. We have a lot of work to do to win people over. How is this, farce actually winning people over right now? How is a vote of no confidence that it's not constitutional? Yes, we're burying ourselves in the rule book because we've been forced to put ourselves into that position because MPs are not respecting the mandate that Jeremy has to lead the Labour leadership.
Well, how do you feel that an Angela Eagle candidacy would affect things?
I think Angela would be a step forward. I think it's a return to the grown-up politics that we need. It's a return to someone who can properly unite the party and champion Labour values and be a possible Prime Minister, because no one sees Jeremy Corbyn.
Let me pause you for a moment, because in London there is John McDonnell, who is the greatest ally that Mr Corbyn has, meeting with students here in central London. Another packed meeting. I don't know whether we can actually hear him. No, he's not good enough audio, but the whole idea is basically to represent that there are grassroots meeting around the country, from Sheffield to London. There could be trouble for the Labour Party if these people, in fact, simply re-elect Jeremy Corbyn. What do you do then?
Well, I think that's why Jeremy, holed up in the bunker in Normanshire South or wherever he is tonight, just needs to think about what's right for the country, what's right for the party, and what's right for the values that he holds so dear. Because it would be tragic if the Labour Party splits over.
Labour's approval ratings have gone up since the referendum. Since Jeremy has been Labour leader, his ratings have gone up and up and up. Actually, it's actually really It's crazy that you keep citing a lot of evidence and ignoring the overwhelming evidence that supports Jeremy in his leadership. It's okay if you don't agree with someone, but to actually throw your toys out of the pram and have this big kerfuffle when we're actually in a key place where Labour can be making the case for why people want to leave the EU, why austerity is hitting people hard. The issue is not immigration, it's austerity. The Tories have lied about immigration, and that's what the key issue is.
People aren't throwing their toys out the pram. With someone like Ed Miliband, very reluctantly, comes forward today to say that Jeremy's got to go. He will have done that with a huge amount of agonising. He will not have done it lightly, and it's to do with the future of the party and the country, and that's what matters most now.
We're going to have to pause it there. Tom Baldwin and Barbara and Toomey, thank you both very warmly for coming in.